We all know the advice, right? Just drink more water. But what if it's not actually that simple? What if the real secret to hydration isn't about how much you drink, but about where that water actually goes? We're talking about getting it deep inside your cells. Today, we're going to look at a whole new way of thinking about hydration, and it might just change how you see that next glass of water. Let's get into it.
So here's a question for you, and it sounds a bit like a riddle. Can you actually drink tons of water and still be dehydrated? It seems crazy, doesn't it? But according to the source material we're diving into today, the answer is a big, surprising yes. And believe me, this isn't just some abstract idea, it has some serious, real-world consequences.
Take this, for example. It's a pretty intense story. On the super tough Kokoda Trail, hikers have actually died from dehydration, even though they were drinking as much as 5 liters of water a day. I mean, think about that. The water was going in, it was coming out as sweat, but here's the kicker. It wasn't getting into their cells. It was literally just passing right through their bodies, and worse, it was taking vital minerals with it on the way out.
So, what in the world is going on here? What's the missing piece of the puzzle? Well, according to health educator Barbara O'Neill, whose work we're digging into, the answer might be sitting right there in your kitchen, in your salt shaker. Yep, salt. That thing we're so often told to cut back on. But here's the thing, as you're about to find out, not all salt is the same, not even close.
And this is what brings us to what we can call the hydration paradox. It's this weird, counterintuitive idea that you can be chugging water all day long, but your cells, they can still be bone dry. And that's a huge deal, because if your cells are thirsty, your entire body is feeling it. So what's the mechanism here? Why does this happen?
Okay, so here's the central concept. For water to actually hydrate you, it needs a key to get inside your cells. It has to cross that cell membrane. If it doesn't have that key, it's like a package that can't be delivered. It just circulates around, gets flushed out, and it takes all these important minerals with it. Your cells are left high and dry. And this is where a really, really important distinction comes into play.
So let's talk about salt. It's like a tale of two very different characters. In one corner, you've got your standard, everyday processed table salt, the kind you find in pretty much every salt shaker. And in the other corner, you have something totally different, an unrefined whole salt like Celtic sea salt. And the difference between these two? Well, according to this perspective, it's night and day. It's everything.
Just look at the difference here. Table salt, it's bleached, it's heavily processed, to make it pour perfectly and last forever on the shelf. But in that process, it gets stripped of all its natural companion minerals. Celtic salt, though, is the complete opposite. It's unrefined, it's natural, and it holds onto a whole spectrum of minerals.
So when you break it down, common table salt is really just two things, sodium and chloride. That's it, just 2 minerals. And yeah, we absolutely need those to live. But the argument here is that when they're all by themselves in this isolated form, they can kind of throw your body out of whack. So what about the other guy?
Get this. Unrefined Celtic salt, by contrast, is said to have 82 minerals. Not 2, but 82. The idea is that this isn't just a random number, it's a profile that's way closer to the mineral spectrum you'd find in the ocean and, more importantly, in our own bodies. And it's this mineral richness, this complexity, that's supposedly the secret sauce.
There's actually an old quote that makes this point really well. If the salt hath lost its savor. What does that mean? Well, in this context, when salt is processed and all those minerals are stripped out, it's lost its savor. It's lost the very thing that makes it useful and, well, valuable to our bodies.
Okay, so if we're saying unrefined salt is the hero of this story, we need to know how it works, right? How do these dozens of extra minerals become the key that unlocks our cells and lets that water flood in? Well, the method itself is actually surprisingly simple.
So here's the technique they describe. It's just 3 steps. First, you take a single little crystal of Celtic salt and just put it on your tongue. Then you just let it dissolve for a few seconds, and finally you drink a glass of water. That's it. The secret apparently is all about the timing and what your body absorbs first. And this leads us to one very special mineral that's at the heart of all this.
And that mineral is magnesium. Celtic salt apparently has 3 different types of it, and you can think of magnesium as a water-hungry molecule. Its whole job is to pull water towards it, and that is exactly why that little 3-step trick and the timing of it is so crucial.
Okay, so picture this.
When that little salt crystal is dissolving on your tongue, the magnesium gets absorbed super fast, right through the thin skin in your mouth. This gives it a head start. It jumps into your bloodstream and zips off to your cells. So by the time you actually drink the water a few seconds later, the magnesium is already there, waiting, acting like a tiny little magnet, ready to pull that water inside the cell.
Now, this whole idea has some really fascinating implications that go way beyond just being thirsty. Let's take a look at how this theory applies to something super common that a lot of people worry about: high blood pressure.
Now this might actually surprise you. We have all been told for years that table salt is bad for blood pressure. But what's interesting is that this perspective also suggests that a no-salt diet can also be a problem. How can that be? Well, it all comes down to balance. Too much of that isolated sodium isn't good, but too little sodium isn't good either. Both can mess with the balance in your cells. The proposed solution? A balanced, mineral-rich salt.
And it's really important to remember this isn't just about salt. The source material paints a much bigger picture. It lists a whole bunch of other things that could be contributing. Dehydration itself is a huge one, obviously, but also not getting enough minerals from things like leafy greens, not enough sun, not enough movement, and eating too much sugar and wheat. It's a complex puzzle, and salt is just one piece.
So what actually happens in our bodies when we're walking around dehydrated on a cellular level day after day? Well, according to the work of Dr. F. Batmanglij, which is referenced here, our bodies start sending out distress signals. We call them symptoms, but maybe we're misreading them.
This quote from him really hits the nail on the head. He's not sick, he's thirsty. Don't treat thirst with medications. The argument is that so many of the things we think of as sicknesses are actually just our bodies screaming for water. And what do? We often throw medications at the symptoms instead of just giving the body what it's actually asking for: proper hydration.
So what are these cries for water? Well, think about things like headaches, brain fog, feeling tired all the time, even constipation. And here's one you might not expect: lower back pain. The logic there is that our spinal discs are like little water cushions that support our upper body. When we're dehydrated, those cushions deflate and, ouch, that can lead to pain.
And get this, when your body is dehydrated, your actual brain cells can shrink. I mean, they physically get smaller. That's not just some weird science fact. It has real effects. It can cause physical pain, like a headache, and might even affect how you think and feel, leading to more negative thoughts. And it doesn't stop with the brain. Your stomach has this incredibly powerful acid, right? And the only thing protecting the stomach wall from that acid is a layer of mucus that is 99% water. So when you're dehydrated, where does your body try to conserve water from first? Often, that lining. It gets thinner, it gets weaker, and that can open the door to all sorts of problems, like ulcers. So when you boil it all down, here's the crucial takeaway. A lot of the time, our bodies get their signals crossed. They can't easily tell the difference between hunger and thirst. So we'll leave you with this one thought to chew on. The next time you're feeling tired, or your head feels foggy, or you've got a little headache, before you reach for a snack, just stop for a second. Ask yourself, am I actually hungry, or am I just thirsty?